Hi, it's Daphne. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in May. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe down below. I post videos once a week. Also, please, if you can hear any construction noise in the background, I'm so sorry. I live in New York City, but we're gonna push through. The first book I read in May was Barbarians Heart. This is a part of the Ice Planet Barbarian series. So this particular book in the series is between Stacy and Pashov. So they've been mated for about 2 years now. So the humans have been on the ice planet for a significant amount of time. Her and Pashov have a child together. However, with all the overarching story of the series, there was an earthquake on the planet and the cave system that everybody lives in collapsed. And in this collapse, Pashov lost his memories from the last 2 years. So he lost his entire relationship with Stacy. He doesn't even remember his own son. And it's that story of them trying to overcome that tragedy, like him losing his memories. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I will say, I always say this, the series isn't for everyone, and I'm giving the star ratings based on my overall personal enjoyment, and then that also takes into consideration my expectations for the series. So I'm not expecting the best work of fiction ever, but they're such a fun time. This one in particular though, I gave 3 stars. I didn't hate it because the overarching story progressed a lot with where the tribe was going to live now and how they were going to get out of this situation of pretty much being homeless, right? But between Stacy and Pashov, that whole story was only okay. I will say Stacy was a little annoying. She was very repetitive with being oh, I'm so sad, he doesn't remember me, crying. Every time she looked at him and he didn't show the spark of recognition, she would be so upset. I'm that makes sense, but can you give him a chance to try to sort through his own trauma? He's been through a lot too, okay? Again, I will always recommend Ice Planet Barbarians for a fun, steamy time, and they're quick and short, so it's it's a good fun time for me. So 3 stars overall. The next book I read was Blockshot by Kennedy Ryan. This is the second book in her Hoop series, and I absolutely ate this up. So this story is between Jared and Banner. They are both sports agents for pro ballers, so pro basketball players, pro soccer players. Banner even represents a paraplegic athlete. Jared and Banner went to the same college. Banner had a crush on him since she was a freshman. Jared didn't even know she really existed until their senior year, but he was really attracted to her intelligence. Banner is a mid-size, plus-size woman, and in college she was struggling with PCOS. Just a heads up, her weight is talked about a lot in the story. It's something that's on her mind a lot. She's building confidence in her own body at her size and figuring out her health. So if weight is triggering for you, maybe this book isn't for you. It's not negative that much in my opinion, but it is in your face a lot. So, but anyway, the overall story is that when they were in college, Jared had this one last opportunity to confess his feelings for Banner. This is really early, it's not spoilers. And he was also trying to get into this stupid elite society, and they basically told him to sleep with a fat girl. And they particularly wanted him to sleep with Banner, and he was F that, she's really great, I already like her, I'm not doing that for your stupid club, F you, I don't need this, right? But then he finds out that Banner's leaving, and he's not gonna see her in the following semester like he anticipated, so he shoots his shot and they hook up, and then these assholes barge in, and Banner is obviously really taken aback. She was already unsure of why this really hot guy, well, he's hot. She was already unsure why Jared was supposedly all of a sudden interested in her. She didn't believe that he really liked her, even though he was being genuine, and now they're enemies from her perspective. He tried to explain himself, but it's been 10 years and they lost touch, even though they're in the same kind of circles here and there and keep tabs on each other. So now they are both in LA. Banner's new office is in LA. She's a successful agent, and Jared's office is also in LA. She has a boyfriend, she's with somebody else, but Jared is just this is my chance, I don't care who's gonna try to stop me, I wanna be with Banner, and he goes for it. He is a self-proclaimed bad person. he doesn't think he's a good person. He doesn't care what kind of underhanded stuff he has to do to get what he wants when it comes with work, and particularly, that's words so hard for me. And he also doesn't care what he has to do in order to get Banner. So that's that story. Heads up for cheating as well, because like I said, she had a boyfriend and Jared did not care that she had a boyfriend. But literally, chef's kiss. Kennedy Ryan knocked this one out of the park for me, 5 stars. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first book in the series and the second book in the series as well. So I'm gonna continue reading Kennedy Ryan books because the drama and the romance and the pining and all of it is just delicious and I love it. So yeah, that book was excellent. Then I read another Ice Planet Barbarian book. This one was Barbarians Hope. This was an interesting one because it was the first time we had 2 aliens as like the love interest. So the female is an alien from the Ice Planet Barbarian planet and the male is also an alien. Usually it's like a human female and a male alien. So this book is between Asha and Hemlo. So they have been mated for many years, but they are pretty much divorced by alien standards. They aren't together anymore. There's a bit of animosity or like tension between them, at least from Asha's side. So in the story, you learn that they had resonated, which basically means that they were mating to have a baby. Asha got pregnant, and then for whatever reason, she lost the baby. The baby died. Trigger warning for that. I mean, it's not like, it's definitely a key thing, but it's not like on page really. Asha felt that her mate Hemlo abandoned her while she was grieving. So this story is about them working on their issues, and yeah, I actually thought this was interesting. I would say it was like lower on the romance side, but they added in a third perspective. Usually it's only the 2 main characters' perspectives, but they also added in a human woman, Claire, and Claire befriended Asha, and it gave like an interesting, not like that interesting, but like for this series, they don't really have a lot of like female friendship as the focus, but this female friendship I thought added a nice layer to the series, and I appreciated that. Again, if I didn't say, I gave this story 3 stars. And at the end of this book, it's not a spoiler, but just for the series, it like time jumps maybe 2 or 3 years and puts us and lines us up for the next installment. But yeah, this one was interesting. 2 aliens together, working out their problems, plus female friendship. So, not my favorite in the series, but I read it. All right, I give out a lot of 3 stars because the next one I read was A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This is the second book in the From Blood and Ash series. I gave this 3 stars as well. This is the continuation of Poppy's story with her love interest, Castile. If you don't already know, this story is about Poppy, who's this maiden for the Ascended. So the Ascended are like these beings that the human population have been told are like godly, like they live for a very long time, they're practically immortal. They're not quite. And then Poppy has been told that as the maiden, she plays a pivotal role in ascending other humans. So humans can be ascended in this ritual and become these ascended beings, which is desirable because they are the top of the hierarchy in the society. The human population, a lot of them are living in poverty and disease and are in danger of these craven monsters that everybody's afraid of, right? And they look to the Ascended to like protect them and stuff. So the Ascended are able to manipulate the human population more easily due to this fear of the monsters. Poppy has learned some truth since the first one and is kind of learning more about like what is actually happening, all the things that she was told that are lies, who the Ascended really are, what they're really doing behind closed doors, and learning more about this other kingdom that is hidden away and is feeling kind of bitter. I don't know if bitter is the right word. It sounds almost like petty, but like there's a war on the horizon between the Ascended Kingdom Solus and this other kingdom that Poppy is just learning still exists. Like I said, I gave this 3 stars. This is also a romance. The romance was fun, but like I'd say for like 60% of the book, Poppy is just being dense and kind of dumb. Like, she's like, he doesn't care about me, this is all pretend, but like, bitch, open your eyes. Like, yes, he cares about you. Like, stop being so stupid. But yeah, Poppy also has these magical powers where she can sense people's emotions and kind of manipulate their emotions if she touches them. And throughout the series, her powers are evolving. And honestly, like, a lot of the plot is just trying to figure out what Poppy is. Is she just a normal human? Is she related to this other kingdom where there are more powerful creatures than the Ascended? Or is she even more powerful than those people? Like, what's her deal? And I'm in the middle of reading the third one as well, and honestly that plotline continues where it's like, what is Poppy? Like, what's her deal? It's like, we still don't know? That's so annoying. Why is that so heavily focused? Like, can we focus on like this war and the political stuff and like give me like more of the romance? Like, I will say the third one has more romance, but we'll get into that in my next wrap up when I finish it. But yeah, the romance was I think the romance gets steamier as the series goes on. The first book was, I said, was like more PG-13. This one I would say is like a little beyond that. And then the third one, I'm into it. I'm into it, I'm not gonna lie. But the plots are like, come on, the plots could use some work, but we'll see. So 3 stars on that. I mean, it's very hyped. I'm sure you know about it. And if you haven't read it and you still want to read it, like, do it, because then you'll be in on it and you'll know what the deal is. But like, you don't have to. And then finally, the last book I completed in May was Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. This is my first Agatha Christie book. I was very, very excited to finally read this book. This is like classic murder mystery content right here. And I'm sad to say that I did not enjoy it. It was 2 stars from me. I just did not jive with Agatha's writing style. I feel like a lot of it lacked description. I almost had no idea where I was at times. And then once you get into like the actual murder part, it's just all dialogue. Like the detective Perot, I think his name is just talking with people the whole time. And like, I think that's kind of the shtick, if that makes sense. I think that's what people enjoy. They're like, oh, it's all the interviews and you gotta figure it out. But like, I was like not vibing with it. And there were so many characters and like I could keep up with the characters, but in the beginning it's a little overwhelming because you're just like throwing this person and that person and they're there and they're over here and what are their motives and like here's their little backstory thing. But it's like quick and not that descriptive. So I don't know. I just had a really hard time with this. They're traveling in Egypt, obviously, and there were some like sussy terminologies being thrown around by some of the characters towards like the native population. But like honestly, that shit went over my head because I don't expect anything less from people from this time period. Like I saw somebody else talk about this book online. I think it was Meg. It was definitely Meg with books. Megan online was like loving this book. She gave it 5 stars, but she did note that it's a bit effed in some of the lines, and I think it's been rewritten in some editions, but honestly it just went right over my head. I'm like, I did not expect anything less. So yeah, and then honestly, like the reveals, like it had me going for a while. I was like, oh, maybe it's not like the obvious thing, but then it ends up being the obvious thing. And like the detective didn't have any hard evidence against the criminals. They just confessed. He's like, oh, you figured it out. And then they just confessed. But like he had no evidence. It was stupid. You're so stupid. Why are you confessing? You got no proof. There's no cameras. This is like, what year is it? It's like before security cameras. You could have got away with it. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. I did not like it. 2 stars. Did not recommend. I mean, if you want to read classics, like sure, you can read. I'm not gonna say like it's terrible, because obviously it's withstood like a lot of time, but I am not interested in any more Agatha Christie books. Safe to say, I will not be reading another one of her books. So those are all the books I read in May. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe down below. I would really appreciate it. I post pretty much every week. I strive for twice a week, but sometimes I slack because life is busy and full. But again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!